Hey there guys, welcome to another video of the array algorithms on EC from LeetCode. Today we are going to be solving duplicate zeros, which is a pretty easy problem, but if you don't have any experience, it's pretty difficult. I myself didn't solve this the first time, but we'll go ahead and go through it and let's try and solve it. So given a fixed length array R of integers, duplicate each occurrence of 0, shifting the remaining elements to the right. Elements beyond the length of the original array are not written. Do the above modifications to the input in place. Do not return anything from your function. So here's an example. Basically, anytime that there's a 0, you basically duplicate it, and then you shift everything else to the right, and then you basically keep the length of the array fixed. So, a couple of things here. First, we need to be able to insert a 0, and then we need to be able to say, hey, whenever there is a 0, insert it, and then also basically delete the last element of the array. And obviously, if there's no zeros, the input array is modified to what is basically the same thing, and you're not returning anything here. Oops. Okay, so I would say this is probably going to be O of n time and O of 1 space. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to loop through the array and then check if it's a 0, right? And that's pretty straightforward. So for, but instead of a for loop, I'm gonna do a while loop. It's less than the length of array. Because I want to be able to add the index into 1 if I find a 0, because you have to basically skip through the next 0. So while I is less than length of array, if Ri is equal to 0, I need to basically insert it. But the way that the Python insert works is that if I do insert at rows at index 1, it's going to insert the 0 here and then shift this one to the right here. So what I technically want to do is whenever there's a 2 or like there's a 0 on my left, here I want to add the 0 here so that it shifts everything to the right automatically. So what you need to do is you basically need to add the index first so it hits on the 2 and then insert it. So then everything will be shifted to the right and it's just cleaner that way. So I plus equals 1, and now we just do the insert at I, and we want insert 0. Now, remember, we have to keep this length fixed, so the last thing you need to do is basically pop the last index, the last value of the array. So it's a simple array.pop. And you also want to increment I plus equals 1. And then you don't need to return anything. So let's go ahead and try and run our code. And there you go, right? Submit, and it's accepted. Now, I actually like to see this through, I've made it a habit actually to go and see the debugger to see how it works. And I think if you can basically capture the mind of the debugger, you should be in a pretty good spot. So I'm going to click debug here, and I'm going to add a couple of watch expressions. Ri, it's probably it. And I want to just step through it. Okay, so when I is 0, Ri is 1, so I know that we're here. If Ri equals to 0, which it's not, it's equal to 1, it's just going to skip everything. There we go. and it does I plus equals to 1. So it's going to go, now it's going to go to this 0 here. Boom. And now Ri is 0 and the index is 1, and it checks. If Ri is equal to 0, all right, now go into this, this code logic. I plus equals to 1, basically shift it to this place here to 2. As you can see, Ri and I equals to 2. R insert I to 0. So basically insert 0 in this place and then shift everything to the right, which it does. And now as you can see, Ri is equal to 0. And then we just basically r.pop. So then we delete that part at the end, and then I plus equals to 1. So there we go. And it just basically loops through this entire thing, and we're going to reach another one here at 0. It's going to be 2 and 3, so it's just going to loop over. Nope. There we go. Plus equals to 1. Ri is 3. So if, nope, I plus equals to 1. Okay, now it hits another 0. Then we add I plus equals to 1 to go to the 4 first. And then insert, boom, I to 0. And you see that change there. And r.pop. I plus equals to 1. And now it is not a 0. I plus equals to 1. And now it's 8 and it's out of range and we're done. So there we go. If I ran this, stop it, submit. Oh, it said like around 60% earlier. But I think there we go. 65% faster and 100% less memory. So there you go.